Are you ready to stop the self-sabotage and create the life you desire? Well, in order for that to happen, you need to break free from the bad beliefs that are holding your success hostage. You need to optimize the stress by turning it into extra energy for success. And those hurtful habits? Well, we need to give that pain a purpose for progress. Welcome to Stop the Self-Sabotage and Create the Life You Desire podcast. You want to achieve? I think we should find a way to make it happen today. How about you? I mean, if you're going to invest your time in this masterclass, Success Secrets, and I'm going to invest my time, don't you think that we both should be getting some sort of result out of it? The world's going to be a better place because of you and who you're being? Okay, then let's make it happen. All right, so let me pull up my agenda. Keep us on track. What is your goal? What is it that you want to experience? There's no reason for you to take this masterclass just for further edification and knowledge. There are a lot of smart people out there who do not have the type of life that they are capable of living. So we have to just pick a specific end result. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't necessarily like the word goals. And this is the reason why. Your very powerful mind, your subconscious, that is responsible for goal achievement, for success, as well as failure. Well, whenever we give something a label, it scans the data banks that you have and it says, all right, what do we know about this and what have we implemented before? And that's really important, the implementation part. It's not just knowledge. If knowledge were enough, you'd already have what you want. So it's going to say goals. Okay, you've given it the label of goal. Now let's see what we've taken action on in the past and how it all worked out for us. And you and I already know some of the goals you've got, some of them you didn't. So your powerful mind is going to say, well, maybe we'll get this goal. Maybe we won't. That's not good enough. Okay, so what we want to be looking at then is end results, because you always get a result. So what result do you want from today? Now, we typically look at one category out of what's known as the 5 to thrive. And the 5 to thrive are going to be your wealth. We'll start with that. I don't mean like a yacht in the harbor, although it could be that. Typically, wealth means your ability to turn success on with a switch, an internal switch. In fact, whenever I do private hypnosis sessions for my clients, I give them a success switch. But it means turning on the energy, turning on the focus, turning on the resources, turning on the connections that are going to need to be present in order for you to get that end result. And yes, money can be one of them. It's not the most important thing, but it does touch everything that's important. So we start off with wealth. Then after that, we look at your health. So do you have not just the body, maybe you want to let go of a few pounds. That's excellent, but it's more than that. So we're also looking at, do you have the energy, the emotional optimization? Because we know the stress isn't going to go away. So do you have the ability to turn that stress or that fear into extra energy for success? That's your health. And it also means being able to get yourself to take the actions you know you need to take, even though you may not want to take them. Okay. Then after that, we have relationships, because you're the sum total of the 5 to 7 people you spend the most time with. Now, if that means a bad boss or a really crabby teenager, that's all right. Because do you have the wealth as far as turning yourself on to be your brightest in those areas, even though other people may not be supportive? And as well as, do you have the health of taking those negative emotions and turning them around to actually support you? So even though you may not be in relationships that are going to be the very best, are they still activating your inner brilliance? As well as taking actions to optimize that love, to be able to find the friends as well as the connections where everybody is going to experience a zone of growth. Then after that, we can look at your career. And your career isn't just a job. Your career is your calling, your vocation. Right now, you might be in a position where you feel like not all pieces of you are being brought out to make the world a better place, but it's a proving ground for you that can you take the situations and the conditions that you find yourself in that might be rather painful, and can you still use it for progress? And then after that, we have untapped potential. You have people, places, and things that are surrounding you right now that can help lead you into your next experience of success, but you're not seeing them because you've been programmed to solve problems, not design a life. See, your subconscious can only do one of those two things, and it will not tolerate a void. So if you solve a problem, guess what? Yeah, it's going to replace it with another problem to resolve again once you solve the last one. That's much different than designing a life. And designing a life is looking at the 5 to thrive and saying, how can we become aware of all these opportunities that are going to improve the quality of our life? And it can be something as simple as what I experienced with my mom not too long ago. I had posted some pretty pictures of a park about 4 hours from where I'm at. I'm in a suburb of St. Louis in the good old Midwest of the U.S. And my mom's down in Florida. She's on the Panhandle, beautiful white sand beaches and aqua waters. There's a reason why they call it the Emerald Coast, right? And I posted those pictures of a hiking trail up here. And she's like, wow, that's really nice. I think I might enjoy that. And then it hit me, oh my gosh, Mom, I typically come down every year to see you for vacation. What if you were to come up here and we explore something new? We have a variety of experiences that we can choose from instead of just going and hanging on the beach. That it would improve both of the quality of life that we're experiencing. Within just a couple of days, we had her plane ticket booked. But if I was looking at just solving a problem, what do I need to do before I can go on vacation down to Mom's? How much work am I going to miss? What am I going to have to deal with when I get back? She could have said, wow, that looks like a really beautiful place to be. I'd like to maybe explore it someday. And I'd be going, yeah, back to the problems I have to solve. And I would have completely missed the signals for that next success experience. Okay, so what are you going to improve from today's training, from today's masterclass, Insider Secrets from a Rapid Results Hypnotist? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to be giving you the same success system that I train others in. So I'm a certified hypnotherapist. I'm also an instructor, one of the few in the Midwest for the National Guild of Hypnotists, so the largest sanctioning body of hypnotists in the world. And so I have the unique privilege of being an instructor for them. I'm also a rapid results coach. What does all of this mean besides a bunch of initials behind my name that you don't care about? It means I know how to take you from where you are to where you want to be as quick as possible. Let me give you an example of this. If you need to walk away from something, you need to walk away from the overeating, the sugar addiction, the nicotine, the fear. I'll get you those results in one hypnosis session. And it's exactly what I train my students to do for their clients. I am going to give you a part of that success system today so you can begin to see results today. Not resolution, but you can start seeing results. Okay. Now, if you need to reestablish a relationship with something, such as food, you know what? We can't get rid of food, or money, or love, no matter how badly you've been hurt. So what I can do there is work with a series of empowerment steps to where it's not just working with me, but I give you the same system that I'm using with you. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to access that system. I'm already going to be giving you pieces of it today. So activating what you hold within for what you want to experience on the outside. That's what has to happen whenever you have to reestablish a relationship with something. You just can't get rid of it, is that you need to be able to bring yourself out at 3 levels: physical, emotional, and mental, in what is known as an identity upgrade. Phew, okay. By the way, anything that I share with you and you're like, oh my gosh, that was a missing piece that I needed. Because right now you keep trying to rearrange the pieces that you've got to make a different picture, and it's not working out because you don't have everything that you need. And it's not just knowledge, it's that implementation, it's that action and revelation. Okay. If you come across an aha where you're like, that is what I need as far as an insight or an action or an optimization, then what I want you to do is do hashtag aha. I'm looking at my dates here. Today's Wednesday, right? Yeah. So next Sunday, you want to have your ahas listed on here, because on Monday the 5th, I am going to do what's known as spin the wheel of winning. And I am going to pick from all the ahas a winner for our program, Maximum Mindset for Life Success. I want to give you even more of the insight needed to bring yourself out at your very best. So I'm going to give you the ability to be able to claim that course as yours, but you have to do hashtag aha. And by the way, Shelley, you are our winner from last week. So I will be reaching out to you and letting you know how to claim your course. Whew, okay, let's see. What am I working on next? Oh, queue for questions. If you're like, I'm not quite sure how this is going to work for me and my situation, and so I've got this going on with my emotions, or I'm having this challenge with my focus, all things that we're going to be covering today, then put Q and your question. Give me a shout out down below, because Drew and I are going to be monitoring it between now and next Monday and personally answering the questions. Now, if you come up with a question and you're like, I don't necessarily want to broadcast that on Facebook, I completely get it. So this is what I want you to do. Reach out to me by phone, 636-699-7791. Again, that's 636-699-7791. Okay, so you've got a goal in the 5 to Thrive. Why don't you have it yet? Because you have been programmed not to. You've been conditioned not to get those end results, not to get your goals. Well, what do I mean by that? It has been said by behavioral science that 80% of who you are as an adult was learned by age 8. Not based on your brilliance, unless you're a child prodigy, and those are few and far between. You're not showing your brilliance yet. Instead, what you were conditioned to do was to overcompensate for somebody else and what they needed you to be for their life to be all right. I'll give you a couple of examples from clients that I worked with just, yesterday. Okay. So one of my clients that I worked with, she, and I'm going to refresh my screen because I want to make sure that I'm coming through clear. So bear with fuzzy, and I want to make sure that I'm not doing that. Okay. So, going back to one of the women that I worked with yesterday, she grew up with a mom who had been hurt. She had really been wounded and betrayed by other family members. So her mom actually held back and put up these walls. Well, to be a good daughter, she wanted to be able to take care of her mom by doing the emotional feeling for her. So my client learned to overcompensate where her mom was going to be withdrawn and very cold and distant. The woman I was working with, she so loves and cares about people to the point that she overcompensates, and she doesn't know where she ends and someone else begins. And so she has a habit and pattern of going in and taking care of others emotionally, which then stagnates their growth because they haven't figured out how to give their pain a purpose. Yeah, we're going to be talking about that, or how to emotionally optimize that stress and turn it into extra energy for success. They can't because she's doing all the feeling work for them. And then at the end of the day, she has nothing left for herself, and she's feeding off the crumbs that she needs for fuel for her own life, because she has given everything she has to other people. Okay, I'll give you another case. Another client I worked with yesterday, at a very young age, very young teenager, was taught that they needed to provide for themselves, their clothing, their schooling. So, going into the teenage years, already having a job, having to pay room and board at the house. Okay. And provide. Then didn't seem like that had gone on very long. And then having to provide for their siblings. You can probably see where this one's going, right? So now they're an adult, and what are they doing? High levels of leadership. They've really got it going on in their career. And that means at home that they're having to provide for all these other people who are taking advantage of them because of it. Okay. You have been programmed not to get the results that you want, not to get your goals, because you were conditioned, programmed, and trained to overcompensate for somebody else in your world. And you're still doing it as an adult, which means you are so busy taking care of everybody else, you've got nothing left for yourself. And people come to me going, I'm not good enough. Well, of course you're not good enough. You will never be good enough when you overcompensate. See, your brilliance, what is phenomenal about you, has yet to be developed, because all of your focus, all of your energy, and all of your actions have been involved in the identity that's about making it concerning others. Does that make sense? Okay, so why don't you have what you want? You've been programmed not to get it. I tell you, there was a woman that I was working with on her weight reduction, and this stuff goes on. You're not even aware of it because it's not conscious. It happens subconsciously. It's down deep, which is one of the reasons why I love hypnosis, because it accesses that part of your mind that holds all of those memories, all of those conditions and programs and trainings that you implemented, that you took action on. It can bring them up to the surface for conscious awareness, but conscious awareness isn't enough. You can be consciously aware of how you sabotage the end results that you want and still not have an improved quality of life, because you have to implement. And yes, we're going to be covering that today too. Okay. So hypnotized her and said, all right, so tell me about why you've hit this plateau. And she's like, oh, because mommy and sissy aren't reducing their weight and I don't want them to feel bad. Okay, bringing her back up to an aware state, going, now that we have an idea of the programming and the conditioning, you want to elaborate? And she's like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize before now that I've been holding myself back so my mom and my sister wouldn't feel bad about themselves because they're not doing anything for their health. Can you see how this works? Okay. So what is it that we need to do to begin to move you forward with this? Let's see what I've got next on my list. Okay. You have to make what's known as your familiar zone the enemy. Some people call it a comfort zone. There's nothing comfortable about being stuck and struggling and not being able to have the health that you want, to let go of the weight, to make more money, to have the loving relationships, to be experiencing the opportunities that are in your world right now, but you can't see them because you are so about solving problems and solving problems for others instead of yourself, instead of designing the life that is going to bring you out at your best. And when you design that life, not only is it going to be great for you, it's going to be great for everybody around you because you are actually going to be able to trigger their stimulus for moving forward. Either that or they're going to want out of your environment because you're irritating them because they want you to be stuck and struggling because they get to feed off of you that way. Woohoo! Okay, so making the comfortable into a threat. Your subconscious mind, which again runs all of your habits and patterns, it has to have electricity to run, and that is your emotional states. But it also goes by a rule called like creates like. So if you turn on an emotional state of anger, which can be very healthy because anger just says that a boundary has been violated. And you need to do something about reestablishing the boundary or saying that the boundary was unhealthy and dysfunctional to start with. Okay, so the subconscious mind says like creates like. So if you're in a comfort zone of being stuck and struggling, those are the emotions that you're experiencing. What's the subconscious then going to continue to create? More ways for you to be stuck and struggling. But if it were to perceive stuck and struggling as a threat to your well-being, that stuck and struggling is actually going to hold you back from the path of least resistance, because the subconscious mind always seeks the path of least resistance. Another reason why I love hypnosis, because you can go in and you can upgrade those emotions, those actions, that focus in one session. When clients work with me or they work with one of the students that I've trained, yeah, you're going to walk away with results from that very first session. May not be complete resolution, but you're going to be getting there quicker, faster, easier, because the subconscious mind says, I don't want to have to waste a lot of time. It's known as heuristics. A heuristic means a shortcut. Once you learned when you were a little kid how to open a door by twisting a doorknob, you didn't have to try to figure it out every single doorknob you came across. You were able to understand quickly. I jiggle something in this area, I push or pull, I've got freedom. The subconscious always seeks that. So let's use it for your benefit. It's the conscious mind that says, oh, we have to work long and hard for anything that's going to be valuable. You've created this entire system around around struggling as a way to validate why you're stuck, and it's not your fault. It's what you were programmed and conditioned to do. So let's upgrade that programming and conditioning. This is how I discovered hypnosis. about 20 years ago, a little bit less, I was diagnosed with a condition known as carotid body tumors. I need to let you know right now, hypnosis is not a cure and it is not a healing. Hypnosis is meant to create the space to bring yourself out at your best physically, emotionally, and mentally. And if that happens for you in the area of your health, like it did for me, fabulous, phenomenal. You ever work with me, I'm going to give you everything I know for the same thing to happen for you. But there's a lot of other factors that play into this. So I was diagnosed with this condition where carotid body tumors wrap around the arteries in your neck and they shut off the blood flow to your brain. Look, it's genetic. It is passed from a father to his children. So I wasn't able to pass it to my kids, thankfully. But my dad gave it to all 4 of us kids. My uncle gave it to all 6 of his. Okay, so that was the comfort zone. That was the familiar zone for my subconscious, is that I had something that was genetically wired into me. And so the subconscious is going to seek the path of least resistance by making that happen. Until I learned how to make that genetic anomaly, and I don't think I said that right, that genetic haywire, a threat to the subconscious, because it was going along with it. You know, when people say, well, I'm genetically wired or predisposed to have a challenge with my weight, or maybe my blood pressure, or maybe some other conditions. Yeah, the subconscious will go along with it until you inform the subconscious that that condition is going to steal the subconscious way of operating, which is the path of least resistance. Because once you get sick, that's no longer the path of least resistance. Okay. So I didn't know anything about hypnosis. I was actually working in a corporate position at that point in time. But I went online and I'm like, okay, what might be some other things that I can do besides the surgery? I had watched my dad have his operated on because they're always bilateral. One shows up on one side and then creates the one on the other side. And my dad had to have a patch on one of his arteries. It blew. He stroked out. He was never the same after that. His health declined rapidly. My sister had the surgery. They nicked her vocal cords. She lost her ability to speak for a while, as well as was on a feeding tube because of it. I didn't want to go through all of that. So I found a teaching hospital that had published a paper on hypnosis, being able to work with patients to speed their healing. In fact, if you want, look up and see how Mayo Clinic is using self-hypnosis with their breast cancer patients, because they have discovered that the patient will need less pain medication as well as will heal faster than those who do not access the subconscious mind for those things. So I followed the protocols that were set out, and within 6 weeks, my growth that I had shrunk to the point I did not need the surgery. How did I do that? Well, the subconscious mind uses symbols and metaphors and analogies and stories. This is the reason why fairy tales are so powerful. The language, that belongs to the conscious mind. Now, the conscious mind uses language to decide the end result and then hands it over to the subconscious mind to make the end result a reality. Okay. So I had to use that imagery, that what I had going on up here was a threat to the subconscious. So I imagine my body as this high-rise apartment building. And of course, this is the penthouse. This is the elite level property. And that we had residents on each side of the penthouse that were ugly and they were angry. And they were affecting all of the other owners and renters in the area. And then the 2 of them had a fight. And now it was even worse because they weren't speaking to each other. Well, we know what happens to people whenever they're put away in some sort of care facility and nobody ever engages with them again. They get very lonely. In fact, we can die of loneliness. So not only were they a threat to the subconscious as far as upsetting the harmony with all the other tenants in the area, they were inducing emotions that meant death. And the subconscious is all about protection and keeping us alive. This is the reason why you go to step off the sidewalk and step in front of a bus. If you had to consciously think through it and go, well, how fast is that bus moving? And do I have time to get out of the way? You're already road pizza. It's the subconscious that says, I got to pull you back. I got to do it quick and get you out of the way. You don't even have to think about it. 1/1000th of a second is how fast it happens. Faster than what you can blink is the subconscious will determine implementation of an action and conclude that action. So that's what I did utilizing self-hypnosis, that within 6 weeks, the growths, one side was gone, the other side was almost gone. All right. This is what I mean. You have to turn it into a threat. Those few extra pounds that you're carrying around with you, it's not just a health challenge. They keep you from actually enjoying more of the life that you've been put here to experience. Working with someone, they're now moving into becoming a sought out speaker, a public presenter. And I'm like, okay, well, you already know you're going to be judged on your appearance before you ever say anything. What is your appearance saying about you? Because the way your health is acting right now, it is going to stop that speaking career before it ever gets started. It is a threat to your livelihood. And because you feel like speaking is your vocation, it's what your higher power is calling you to do, it is actually a threat to you living out your divine purpose. So you've got to make whatever is holding you back, that overcompensation, not just an annoyance, not just an irritation, but that it is stealing away the very quality of life you're here to live, not just for you, but for those that you care about. Okay, then after that, the next step that we need to do is we need to give your pain a purpose. See, the emotions that we go through, and I talked about the subconscious doing the like creates like. The subconscious does that through stories. And I'm just going to go ahead and refresh my challenge with my broadcasting link. Okay, I'm actually going to show you what I utilize. This is the system that I teach all certified hypnotherapists that come through Ferguson and Associates Hypnotherapy. It is also the same system that I teach others in our self-hypnosis course. See, you can't just address one of these areas. Well, no, I'll take that back. You can. You can address just one of these areas when you're doing what's known as a habit and pattern release. If you're letting go of tobacco, if you're letting go of sweets, if you're letting go of caffeine, if you don't have to have it in your life to exist, then you can work with what's known as a production line hypnotist. Why do I call them production line hypnotists? Nothing against it, but it's like an assembly line. You're typically in to see them and out the door 45, 55 minutes. You might watch some sort of pre-talk about what hypnosis is and isn't on a pre-recorded video, and then they come in, they get a couple of your details, they do the session, and then boom, you're out the door. Nothing wrong with that at all. But when you have to learn how to reestablish a relationship with something that's happened in your past that is holding you back from being your very best, I'll give you an example on that. Worked with a gentleman a few weeks ago, actually now about 3 months ago, hypnosis for stop smoking. And he had tried to let go of the smoking habit multiple times, and it kept coming back. So now we know that there's something in his past, there's some sort of pain, and that this habit is actually assisting him with that pain. Well, it came down to something very simple, but again, not consciously realized until we did the hypnosis session, that he started smoking originally to be perceived as a leader, because at the time he picked up the habit, influential people smoked. And now, decades later, trying to take the smoking habit away, and the subconscious is going, no, this is how we mark ourselves as a leader, because it had accepted that programming and conditioning and was still at that same level. Even though he consciously wanted to upgrade to being a healthier leader, the subconscious stayed at the age it was when it accepted that way to compensate. So taking away cigarettes meant taking away his leadership. This is when we have to give your pain a purpose. See, a production line hypnotist is only going to work on the physical level with the actions. But when you work with a therapeutic hypnotist, for example, myself, no, we understand that there's an emotional level. There is an emotional reason for you using this unhealthy way to compensate in your life. And we have to discover what it is, because the need is never going to go away. Just like, well, mommy and sissy will feel bad if I'm letting go of weight and they're not. Well, let's bring mommy and sissy along with you. So the need is never going to go away. We just have to establish an upgraded way of getting it met. And that is the story. That's giving your pain a purpose. That's not the chapter of the book being completed. We have to add on to it. Or maybe it's an entirely new book that we need to start. Worked with a woman a couple of months ago that couldn't get over an abusive relationship she had been in. That the relationship was long over, but she was still reliving it because no one gave the pain a purpose. The different healing modalities that she used that kept going back over the situation never moved her past it. So doing a hypnosis session and just saying, okay, well, now your powerful mind needs to come up with a purpose for this, a way to showcase what you experienced, those life lessons, and then, if need be, being able to be a model for those lessons. Guess what? She's now writing a book on how other women can get themselves out of those experiences in a way to where they stay safe and secured and yet empowered. She had no inkling she wanted to do that. Isn't that what every author you admire has done? They've taken the crap in their life and they've learned how to package it in manure that is used as fertilizer for the garden of your growth. Okay. So you need to give your pain a purpose. It's not enough just to work on the physical level. Now we need to move up to the emotional level. After that, let me see what we're moving into. Oh, identity upgrades. For you to be able to keep success, not just lose a few pounds for it to come back, or for you to make some money and then have some unexpected bills to show up. For you to have what's known as an identity upgrade, you have to have all three levels. Because whatever you believe about yourself, which is the mental level, and a belief is simply truth that you've accepted about you based on 80% by age 8, and that truth may or may not be correct. So a belief is simply the truth that you've accepted. That belief will then trigger your emotions, and those emotions will trigger your actions, which is the reason why we can have two people taking the identical actions, and one is making progress and the other one it's failing. Because if you have an identity, if you were programmed to be a victim and continuously overcompensate for others, then it doesn't matter what you do. Here's the great thing. When you've accepted a belief, it is never going to go away. If you feel bad about the fact that you're not good enough, great, you're not. You're not good enough because you've been overcompensating in an area that you don't need to be in. So we actually keep that belief, but we upgrade it to say that anytime you feel like beating yourself up, it's simply a warning system that you've been overcompensating for somebody else. How great is that? And it lets you know whenever you're pulling back from the very brilliance that you're supposed to be shining in the world, bringing yourself out at your best. So we can't just address thoughts at the mental level. Thoughts are not a cause. Thoughts are effects. The cause of what is what you believe about yourself. And then we want to look at the emotional, that the stress is not going to go away, but we turn it from distress into eustress. That is spelled EU in the word stress, which is actually the good type of stress that turns you on for achievement. And then the actions you take will be ones that will be goal achieving. When you have this type of identity, it doesn't matter what situation, what condition, and who you're around. You are always going to bring yourself out to where you get the results that you desire. Okay. Now, insight experiences. All of this starts internally. It doesn't matter if you do the diet, if you do the exercise, if you're an entrepreneur and you sign on for that new sales system, if you decide that you want a new love relationship and you're going to use the latest and greatest app or speed dating. I don't know, is that even still a thing? What you have on the outside is going to be determined by how you experience it on the inside first. And you're going to experience it one of three ways. OPS, other people's stuff. This is where they got stuff that they want you to compensate for them. Other people's, this is where you have been given a load of crud because they want you to fix it for them, not compensate, but fix, or other people's systems. Okay, so let's talk about other people's stuff. The boss says, hey, I need you to do some overtime. I know I didn't talk to you about it. It's last minute, and I need you to take care of it. Well, the challenge is you've already done that twice in the last couple of weeks, and maybe you had a special event. It could have been your child's recital or a special date coming up. Okay, so other people's stuff. If you have the belief that no matter what happens, you're going to be able to turn that stress into extra energy for success, which leads you to the actions to get more done with less effort, because the subconscious mind always seeks the path of least resistance, then what's going to happen is that you can approach your boss with the identity of, hey, I've already got something planned. You're coming from an empowered identity. I want to be able to assist you with this, but it may not look like what you think it needs to look like right now. Let's pull our creativity together and see how we can make this happen. And maybe you do work a little bit of extra time, but not to complete the project, but you will be absolutely amazed of how much you can get done during that time, whenever you have the belief that you're going to use whatever's in your environment to bring yourself out at your very best. Okay, That's other people's stuff. Now let's talk about other people's. And this is when they try to trigger you on that overcompensation. And it's the same boss asking you to do overtime. But now they're not just guilting you. Guilt is good. Guilt says that you need to be very aware of your values and that you're living up to them. Shame is not. Shame says that there's something wrong with you. And so maybe your boss is trying to shame you into doing this extra time and missing your date that you had planned because, reviews are coming up and we want to make sure you're a team player. I've been through that whenever I was in corporate. That's okay. You can still draw those healthy boundaries of saying, this is what I'm able to do. And know that you have the identity where you have a high level of value and worth that someone else will be interested in, just for example. Because if you come from a victim mindset of this is how I'm going to have to overcompensate to make his life okay or her life, they're not going to see you as a leader that should be promoted. They're going to see you as the doormat that they keep using. Other people's systems. For you to have this identity upgrade, it needs to be what's known as a social experience. Somebody else needs to be involved. Why is that? Why can't you just read a book? Why can't you just watch a few videos like this? Because someone was there for the initial install of the programming and conditioning that's holding you back. So the subconscious has accepted that someone else needs to be there to upgrade it. This is the reason why I'm sharing this system with you, but I'm also going to let you know how you can utilize the system that I have that I've put together in a way to where I can be present for you. Okay, so what are we looking at next? DrewDawnFerguson.com/SH stands for self-hypnosis. If you go to that webpage, you're going to see where I've put together a self-hypnosis course that is a mini version of the training I do when someone becomes a certified hypnotist. This course is meant to give you the tools that you need for you to bring yourself out at your very best. But when you go to DrewDawnFerguson.com/SH and you get immediate access to the success manual, to the videos, I want to cue you in on something. I want to show something, okay, that you say, yes, I want instant course access for $297. You click on that button, and then it takes you to the checkout page. Now, the course is an investment of $297, but you're going to see where for an additional $100, you can add on a private session with me. I'm going to tell you right now, a private session with me is typically $397 all on its own. For $397, you're going to get the course as well as the ability to work with me privately. But I'm going to do one more thing. Today's Wednesday, the 31st. You order this course by itself, or you decide that you want to add on this session also, and you take action by August 4th. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a gift certificate worth your investment, whether it was for the course of $297 or the session plus the course for $397. I am going to give you a gift certificate that you can use towards any of our other products, programs, or services that matches that investment. But you've only got through Sunday, what is that, August 4th? And then this offer goes away. All right. So that's one step that you can take. But maybe you're intrigued by what I do, being able to do the same thing for the people in your life, marrying your passion of assisting others as well as the profit of being in your own business, whether it might be something that you do as a side gig part-time. You can be working with clients virtually, just like I'm working with you right here. You don't even need an office. Or maybe you decide to do it full-time. And that's when I'm going to make you the offer of becoming a certified hypnotist. So if you go to drewdonferguson.com/CH, that stands for certified hypnotist, you're going to see the course and how it's all laid out. I'm going to tell you right now, Drew and I do not train like other instructors. This is not, we rent out a ballroom at a hotel and we see you as a cash cow and we see how many people we can shove into that ballroom. We limit the training to only 6 students because we want to make sure that you receive all the attention you desire and deserve so you can be a success moving into your calling, because people are called to do this for others. This isn't something, oh yeah, that sounds interesting. No, you have a deep need to help others transform, not just their life, but who they are. So we have a training coming up in the fall, and we also have a training coming up in the winter, November. You can access both of those trainings from drewdonferguson.com/CH. You're also going to want to know that you are going to work with live clients during your training. It's not fair to you, like what I see where people are trained in a ballroom and at best they've worked with some other students in their class in a group just doing some bits and pieces. No, you will take at least 3 clients from the time they've walked into the door and to the time that you're escorting them out, through the intake, through the hypnosis session, through their plan of achievement. You're going to do it all for them. So by the time you graduate and move into your calling, you are going to be competent, confident, and sure of your worth and value in helping people achieve the end results that they desire. But this is what I want to offer you in this area. You decide that you want to work with us, whether it's this fall or this winter. You've got payment plans as well as a full pay option. Doesn't matter how you decide to take care of it. You choose between now and Sunday. What was that date again? The 4th. You choose between now and Sunday, and you are going to get immediate access to a session, a private session with me on anything that you want to experience as an end result. That will be my gift to your success. You already get a private session that comes along with the course to help you be a great hypnotist. Let's start turning on the quality of life in your other areas. So whether it is the self-hypnosis, whether it is the, so that's drewdonferguson.com/SH, or whether it is becoming a certified hypnotist, drewdonferguson.com/CH. You're either going to get a gift certificate to use on anything that you want to experience success equal to your investment with the self-hypnosis, or you're going to get a bonus session with me. You decide you want to assist others in turning their dreams into reality. Okay, now let's move into your plan for achievement. Your powerful mind, your subconscious, operates between the ages of 8 and 12. Let's average that out and say it's a 10-year-old. Think of a 10-year-old getting ready to leave for school. Okay. So that 10-year-old needs to be told, do you have your book bag with you? Do you have your lunch? Do you have your shirt on right side out? Okay. So that 10-year-old needs to make sure, you need to make sure that they have everything they need, because they're not at the area they need to be to put it all together as far as their next steps. So anytime you read a book, anytime you listen to a master class or you take a course, you need to have it all wrapped up with a plan of action. Because if you don't, then your subconscious is going to go, yes, it's wisdom, it's knowledge, but it's not necessarily anything I'm going to use. And remember how we said the subconscious always looks for things that you've used to help you upgrade your identity or further reinforce that familiar zone of being stuck and struggling. Okay, so let me take a look over here and see what all we've covered. Number 1, you have been programmed to overcompensate for others and underutilize your brilliance. Start looking at where you overcompensate. Number 2, make sure that you put down hashtag ahas between now and Sunday so we can pick our winner, as well as any cues for questions that you have. Number 3, you have to make your comfort zone and what's familiar, being stuck and struggling, into an absolute threat to what it is that you want to experience in life. Number 4, you need to give your pain a purpose. Number 5, you're going to experience your inside success that will manifest then in your physical world, either by other people's systems, which I'm offering you, or other people's stuff to where now you overcompensate for them, or other people's where now you are completely invested in what they need you to be, and there's not going to be anything left for you. Okay. And then the final thing, number 6, how are you going to engage us? If you've got questions, reach out to me. 636-699-7791. So what is it that is appealing to you? Is it the self-hypnosis? Is it becoming a certified hypnotist? Is there something else? I'm here. Drew and I are here because it is our calling. And what is our calling? That you have a unique brilliance about you. It's how you light up the world. But you've been conditioned and trained to dim down your brilliance so you can feed someone else. It's time for you to take your power back, turn your light on even brighter, because not only will you experience the life that you are here to have, but you're going to make the world a better place because of it. Okay, until we get together again, blessings on your brilliance. Bye now.